Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome back Republican gubernatorial candidate Bud Pierce. Bud, good to see you.
Thank you very much. Great to be back.
Thank you. So it's been 6 months since you were last year. I imagine you're pretty busy as a political newcomer. You're probably spending a lot of time on the trail.
A lot of time, having great experiences, Eastern, Central, Southern Oregon, all throughout the state, Mid-Willamette Valley, having great interactions with the people.
And what are you hearing from voters? What issues are important to them right now?
It really comes down to the economy and education and training and protecting the environment.
Okay, and regarding the economy, I did want to ask you about minimum wage. So
Sure.
here we go.
Sure.
What's your take on this, and what would you like to see done as we move forward through this?
We need to create an economy where people make more money. We can't do anything to harm jobs. So my way of going at this would have been a little different than the governor's position. I would really work on that earned income tax credit, which is a way to get extra money to people that work when they file their taxes from the federal government. I would aim to not have people that make $20,000 or less not pay state income taxes, so they have more of their own money in their own pockets. And finally, a more robust child care program, probably a child care credit. And again, we can't do anything to harm people's ability to have a job because we still have 1 million Oregonians of working age that do not have a job.
Okay, and what about rural Oregon? As you know, the Portland-Salem economy is continuing to grow very rapidly, much slower pace everywhere else, really, and that's important, obviously, to our viewers.
Yeah, huge interest of mine. When you go out amongst the people, I spent the majority of time outside of the Central Valley, you really can sense the need of people and the need for prosperity and the need for job. And really, I'm already transitioning to that advocacy for them. As a doctor, I'm a fierce advocate for my patients, and now I'm really feeling that for rural Oregonians. And when you think about what we can do, number one, the corporate tax should either be eliminated or greatly reduced for companies that come out in this area. That would be a huge key. When businesses expand, the property taxes tend to go up. I would eliminate that for the areas in rural Oregon, just like for Nike and Intel when they expand their facilities. There's a way to abate that. I think that's huge. Really encourage companies from the Central Valley to go out into the rural economies and to be sited there. And finally, we need to bring back the use of timber and natural resources. Huge for us.
Okay, and how would you encourage them with tax breaks, or as far as
well, again, if you take away their corporate tax, when they build a facility and the value of the property tax increases, you abate that or eliminate that. It's really no different than when the server farms go out to Eastern Oregon. What you find is the reason they're going out there is they have a huge property tax abatement. They don't have to pay the full amount for improving the facility, and also they have very low-cost energy from Bonneville, and it's a cool environment. You take advantage of to stimulate interest in the area to make companies profitable.
Okay, very good. We're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
Not much more in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Republican gubernatorial candidate Bud Pierce. Bud, PERS is going to be a major issue in the legislature next year. If elected governor, this would be a huge focus of yours and
Absolutely.
And in Salem. So what's your take on PERS?
Well, again, we have a system that is $21 billion in debt, and that's only assuming we can get 7.75% investment return on the money we have invested, which pays 70% of the monthly outflow, which means if you really made that around 4%, it would be many billions more in debt. So what we have to do is stabilize it and fix it once and for all. So what the Supreme Court has said is that we can do two things. One, when we have employees receive annuity payments that retire from Tier 1 PERS, you don't have to pay an inflated 7 or 8% on the annuity. You can pay a market rate, and that's acceptable, and that would save money. Second thing you can do is there are side accounts that are right now at about 6% for many employees that money's put in an IRA. That money can actually go in to support the system. Now, you have to have some compromise with the employees. You're not trying to hurt
Certainly
them.
But you can do that.
Here. Right, but you have to reach compromise. You have to find win-win, and there are ways to find win-win. Finally, we do need to end it going forward. So you need to pick a date in the future in which you hire new employees and you make a defined contribution for their retirement, not a guaranteed payment, because you always run into this where you underfund for today. We should pay today for all the great work our employees do and not saddle any cost on future citizens. So the way you do that is a defined contribution to retirement for newly hired employees. And in the meantime, you can stabilize the fund with what I said, a right-size annuity payment by having contribution from the employees pay into the system, and there has to be negotiations, I understand that. And you probably will have to do some backfilling so that the school districts and the municipalities don't go broke. So there's probably going to be a backfilling component, i.e. help. So we have to do all that. So I think help backfilling with reform is the way to go.
Okay, and I quickly want to ask you about it's a presidential year, so we're obviously counting on a lot of people showing up to the polls in May and in November. All this talk of what's going on nationally with the Republican candidates, is that something that will be good for Republicans in Oregon?
It's good for Republicans, it's good for outsiders, it's good for people that are looking for new candidates. What we're seeing on the Democratic side is rejection of establishment Democratic candidates. Bernie Sanders is their champion. On the Republican side, the rejection of establishment candidates. Donald Trump is getting a lot of the votes. So as you look for people that are unhappy with the current system, who have diminished prospects for their own lives and their children's lives, they're looking for different leaders. And certainly I'm coming forward as a different leader, someone who has different ideas, vastly different experience, someone who wants to make people truly safe, prosperous, and free. So all the new voters that can come in can only help me.
Good to see you again. Thanks very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.